The path to cultivating divine energy begins as a quiet rebellion on, inward, turning away from noise, temptation, and the endless scatter of modern distraction. It is the moment a man realizes the power he seeks is not out there in the world, but resting, dormant, within his own being, waiting to be awakened. This awakening is subtle but seismic, the shift from ordinary desire to a deeper, truer calling. Hold on, before we unlock the real power of semen retention, hit that subscribe button and join our Telegram channel, link in description. We drop daily wisdom, success tools, and energy secrets only shared there. Don't watch from the sidelines, become part of the movement. When a man chooses to retain his vital force, he doesn't merely hold back a physical impulse, he stabilizes an inner current that had been leaking through unconscious habits. This is where the process transforms from physical discipline to sacred alchemy. What once slipped away in moments of weakness now becomes a reservoir of strength, feeding him instead of draining him. This vital force, stored and protected, begins to move differently within him. It circulates upward, into the chest, into the mind, into the subtle centers that govern clarity, intuition, and spiritual presence. Over time, this inner circulation becomes a radiant current that reshapes not just his behavior, but his very frequency. That frequency becomes a magnet. Not the loud, performative magnetism that from the outside looks like charm or confidence, but a quiet gravitational pull, a signature felt more than seen. Sensitive women, intuitive women, spiritually attuned women notice it immediately. Not because he tries, but because he simply is. Divine energy forms an aura, and an aura tells the truth long before a man speaks. It whispers safety, discipline, emotional steadiness, and an inner world that is rich rather than chaotic. This is how a man becomes felt when he walks into a room. Even if nobody can explain why, their attention shifts instinctively toward him. As this energy develops, he experiences a level of self-command that he may have never felt before. Thoughts become sharper. Decisions feel cleaner. There is less fog, less hesitation, less collapse into compulsive habits. The mind rests in a clarity that comes from inner alignment, not motivational hype. Mental clarity becomes mental presence. Presence becomes a spiritual anchor. Women feel this anchor not as dominance in a worldly sense, but as a grounding force, the kind that provides emotional safety without saying a word. His aura becomes a shelter. This presence is not performative confidence. It is the natural byproduct of energy that is not wasted. When a man retains, refines, and elevates his vital force, he becomes a vessel carved for purpose. His spirit grows in the spaciousness once occupied by distraction. This is why the disciplined man begins to embody a calm that cannot be faked. His breath deepens. His posture lengthens. His voice grows steady. These are not techniques, they are outcomes of inner transformation. His biology shifts around the integrity of his choices. From this new foundation emerges a profound spiritual magnetism, not the kind that chases, persuades, or postures, but the magnetism that simply exists. Women respond not because they are manipulated, but because nature recognizes the polarity between embodied masculine stability and awakened feminine intuition. Divine energy amplifies a man's field, and that field communicates silently. It speaks in warmth, in calmness, in subtle gravitation. It does not attempt to impress. It does not perform. It simply radiates, and this radiance becomes irresistible to feminine energy-seeking depth. At this point, the man no longer enters interactions from scarcity. He doesn't chase validation, approval, or affection. He stands in abundance of fullness, born from self-control, introspection, and alignment with his own purpose. Women feel the difference instantly. The man, driven by divine energy, is the opposite of the modern, restless masculine, which is desperate for attention, yet hollow inside. Instead, he is whole. And wholeness draws connection without effort, because everything about him communicates stability and inner richness. This transformation is ancestral. Men throughout history knew the power of retaining their vital essence, cultivating it, and using it as fuel for clarity and mastery. In the modern age, the impulse to release is constant, the temptation continuous. So the man who resists taps into an ancient lineage of strength. Women sense this lineage. They feel the presence of a man who carries more than his physical body, one who carries spiritual memory, instinctive protection, and a silent conviction. His energy says, "You are safe here." And safety is the deepest nourishment to the feminine heart. This safety is not softness. It is sovereign energy strength without aggression, direction without cruelty, authority without ego. It is the energy of a man who has faced himself and emerged with his integrity intact. Such a man becomes mysterious, not because he hides, but because he no longer leaks. His attention is intentional. His energy is contained. This containment itself becomes alluring. Women feel pulled toward him, like tides toward the moon. The more he cultivates this inner reservoir, the more he radiates a peace that cannot be pretended. It shows in his eyes, steady, deep, unhurried. It shows in his breath anchored, calm. It shows in his presence stable, even when chaos unfolds around him. This peace is not passive. It is active serenity. It is a declaration that his inner world is governed not by impulse but by purpose. And purpose is magnetic. Purpose is attractive. Purpose is rare. A man with divine energy does not beg for attention. He offers presence. He does not manipulate. He embodies truth. The difference is felt instantly. Truth is grounding. Manipulation is draining. Women choose grounding every time. This refined aura becomes a sanctuary. When a woman steps near him, she feels her nervous system soften. Her breath slows down. Her heart opens slightly without warning. His energy is not a demand. It's an invitation. This invitation is subtle but powerful. You can relax now. It is what the feminine craves at the deepest levels, to feel safe enough to soften, to breathe fully, to trust. The transmuted man becomes the anchor that allows this trust to awaken naturally. Spiritual magnetism is not about attraction in the superficial sense. It is an energetic recognition, a resonance between his masculine grounding and her feminine intuition. Long before physical touch, their energies communicate. This communication is silent but unmistakable. A slight shift in posture, a glance that lasts a heartbeat, a warmth that grows in the space between them. Attraction at this level is not purely physical. It is spiritual chemistry. When a man cultivates ojest, an ancient term for spiritual vitality, his physical form begins to reflect his inner energy. His skin looks brighter. His eyes shine clearer. His voice deepens naturally. His entire presence feels more alive. Oyas is the glow of self-mastery. It is the radiance of withheld energy turned inward, purified, and transformed. The world may not know the name for it, but it knows the effect. People feel drawn to him without understanding why. This vibrational shift aligns him with higher states of consciousness. His thoughts lift. His actions refine. His intentions sharpen. He becomes more intuitive, more aware, more attuned to the flow of life. This is how divine energy reshapes a man's destiny. The law of resonance becomes undeniable at this stage. A man vibrates at the frequency of his habits. When he cultivates discipline, clarity, and purpose, he naturally attracts people on a similar path. Low-frequency connections begin to fall away effortlessly. Drama fades, chaos loses its appeal. Relationships become deeper, clearer, more aligned. Women who thrive in emotional storms cannot penetrate his peace. Only those seeking truth, healing, and depth resonate with his field. This filtering is not rejection, it is resonance. The higher he rises, the more his energy becomes selective. And this selectivity is not forced. It is a natural refinement of vibration. The man becomes more intentional in every aspect of his life, his conversations, his goals, his relationships. He begins to build instead of consume. He starts shaping his world rather than being shaped by it. Purpose becomes his compass. Each day becomes an opportunity to strengthen his energy, refine his presence, and deepen his awareness. The discipline of retention becomes the foundation of a life guided by clarity. This process brings emotional mastery. He no longer reacts impulsively to triggers. His emotions are acknowledged but not obeyed. This control is not suppression. It is sovereignty. Emotions become signals rather than commands. Women feel this emotional steadiness. It creates a protective container around him, a space where heightened emotions dissolve instead of escalating. His calmness becomes a balm to those around him. This emotional intelligence amplifies his magnetic field. A woman who meets him senses both strength and gentleness, certainty and compassion. This duality, this balance is deeply attractive at a soul level. As the man continues his spiritual refinement, his presence becomes almost ceremonial. He carries himself with intention. He moves with purpose. His silence holds meaning. His words land with weight. This is a level at which attraction transcends physicality. It becomes spiritual intimacy, a connection that begins before the first touch, even before the first words. It is the merging of energies aligned through resonance. When two souls resonate, their bodies respond naturally. But the connection does not start with chemistry. It starts with frequency. And frequency is built from who he becomes through discipline. Divine energy shifts the man from seeking attention to embodying purpose. This shift radiates in every direction, through his posture, his decisions, his aura. The feminine senses purpose like a scent. Purpose is the essence of masculinity. Not aggression, not dominance, not bravado. Purpose. When a man lives with purpose, His presence becomes an offering rather than a demand. In this state, he no longer craves external validation. His self-worth comes from alignment, not applause. He feels fulfilled without needing anyone to fill him. This fulfillment is what makes him truly magnetic. Such magnetism invites not just attraction, but admiration. Women feel the difference between a man who consumes energy and a man who radiates it. The latter becomes unforgettable. The journey of divine energy is ultimately the journey of self-realization. It is the recognition that a man's highest power is cultivated within. It is his ability to turn desire into devotion, impulse into insight, and attraction into spiritual resonance. This journey transforms him into a sanctuary for the feminine. His presence becomes a place of rest. His stability becomes a place of trust. His energy becomes a place of healing. The more he refines his energy, the more he sees the world differently. Noise becomes clearer. Truth becomes sharper. Distraction loses its grip. He lives with intention rather than instinct. Divine magnetism is not taught, it is earned. It is the reward of discipline, introspection, and spiritual courage. The man who embraces this path becomes rare in a world addicted to instant gratification. His rarity enhances his value. Not because he tries to be different, but because he has become authentic. Authenticity in a superficial world is luminous. It glows. By cultivating divine energy, he aligns with his highest masculine potential. Not the loud, forceful version of masculinity, but the quiet, powerful, consciousness-led form that has guided enlightened men for centuries. This is the path of the refined man, the man whose energy speaks before he does. The man whose aura whispers truth. The man who walks without chasing, yet draws everything aligned toward him. In the end, divine energy is not about celibacy, denial, or suppression. It is about transformation. It is the conversion of raw impulse into spiritual strength, and spiritual strength into magnetic presence. If this video gave you real value, tap the thanks button. Your support helps me keep creating deeper content like this. Every thanks is a spark that keeps this mission alive. Your support means more than you know. It is the path of becoming a man whose very existence inspires trust, awakens attraction, and resonates with truth. A man who carries inner light. A man who radiates from within. This light, this divine essence becomes the signature of a life lived with intention. It becomes the beacon by which aligned souls find him. It becomes the field through which the law of resonance fulfills its purpose. And so, the process is simple but profound. Refine the energy, elevate the spirit, and become the man whose presence speaks louder than any words. The world feels him. The feminine trusts him. Life aligns with him. Because he no longer leaks his essence, he embodies it. He becomes divine energy in human form.